You might think that studying effectively is all about long hours and sleepless nights, but Ayanokoji Kiyotaka has a secret that flips everything you know on its head. If you continue to follow the traditional methods of studying, you might end up wasting time and getting frustrated. But what if there was a smarter way to study that could save you time and boost your performance? Ayanokoji Kiyotaka teaches us that the time spent studying doesn't necessarily equate to the knowledge gained. You've seen and heard it everywhere. How many hours do you study? But the truth is, quality trumps quantity. Like Ayanokoji, the most effective students know how to practice deep work. This state of peak concentration allows you to learn complex topics and produce high-quality work in less time. The first step we have to do is to apply a principle. It's the Pareto principle, the 80-20th rule. We've already established that you're going to drastically cut down the amount of time you spend studying to, let's call it, 2 hours a day. So if you only had 2 hours a day to study, what would you do? You wouldn't make pretty notes and highlight them. This is part of the 80. Sure, it needs help. But considering the amount of ROI, return on investment, you get, these aren't worth doing. Instead, you're better off focusing on this 20 that will give you the 80% of the results. You would do practical past paper questions and topic questions, because in the end, the questions are what's going to be on the test and what they're going to be asking. Making notes is good. My former study method for the longest time was rewriting notes by hand into this notebook so that by the end, I would have rewritten the whole topic. Obviously, this does work to some extent, but not only is it inefficient, it doesn't actually prepare you for the exam itself because you just learn the content. But exam technique is half of the equation. This inefficiency becomes clear later when you think about the fact that when you write these notes, you're writing on everything. So you're not able to target weaknesses, and you ignore the fact that you probably already know a good chunk of this, so you end up wasting time. That's why past papers and topic questions are so valuable, because you get to see where your gaps in the topic are, and then you consolidate those gaps with knowledge. You also get to see the mark scheme, which is the model answer for you to look at and memorize. There are many sites, and I personally use PMT and save my exams. I realized that the reason I was writing these notes is that you feel like you've done a lot, because when you copy the notes and you get 3, 4, 5 pages worth of notes, you have this tangible physical evidence that you tell yourself, damn, I've studied really hard, I've got 5 pages worth of notes. Whereas in fact, that doesn't amount to knowledge. Whereas if you do past papers or topic questions, you don't actually get a physical, tangible piece of work that you've completed, so it doesn't feel like you've actually studied. I'm the age of secret, I'm spilling it right now, is that you just spam these topic questions and past papers until, for example, you have a biology test, and they just become easy, like times table questions. What's 8 times 7? 56. What's the power of the cell? Mitochondria. What's that bacteria cell? Goddamn. Okay, if you're in higher education towards A-level or university, I appreciate that memorizing everything like times tables isn't going to work, but the principle of doing past paper questions, topic questions, specific questions instead of just writing notes is a principle that you can agree with, and that's proven to be effective. Distractions are like kryptonite to students. Ayanokoji Kiyotaka understands that the best way to avoid distractions isn't to cut them out completely, but to delay them. You can all relate. You try and sit down and focus, but the distractions are always there. The best way to avoid distractions isn't to cut them out, although in an ideal world, you could just go cold turkey and cut out video games and all these distractions out of your life. But I appreciate how hard it is in this day and age for you to just go on your phone and delete all social media apps. So we can't get rid of them fully. So then how do we stay focused when we have to work? It's simple, you just delay it. You tell yourself you'll do 2 hours of deep work, and then after that, you can spend the day watching Netflix guilt-free. We all know that the worst feeling is when you're watching Netflix, but you still have that exam you haven't studied for. You have to promise yourself that the condition is you have to do those 2 hours fully, 100% focused, and distraction-free. Only if you do that, you're going to promise yourself that you're going to enjoy Netflix and social media afterward. If you can truly focus on those 2 hours worth of deep work is more valuable than a whole day's worth of work. This works for some people and not for others. I appreciate that. For your bad habits, go for it. While you're doing deep work, full screen word or whatever you're doing, turn off the Wi-Fi, bury your phone in a hole, I don't know, make sure there's no things that can distract you, and that you can just focus on your work. Of course, this isn't going to work straight away. We've grown up in a world of distractions, and distractions are ever more prevalent. I still might end up on autopilot on YouTube while working, but it's a work in progress. Tell yourself that you want to get to the stage where you can focus fully for these 2 hours. In an ideal world, we would cut everything out. But as I've talked about, this isn't something that can just be done overnight. The third and last one is to be precise. Set a goal for your 2-hour study session. 2 hours realistically is a very short time, especially if you're going to go from 6 to 8 hours down to 2. For example, I'm going to do plant reproduction in this 2-hour session. I'm going to do all the topic questions and make sure I don't have any gaps in my knowledge. This is a specific and smart target setting. It doesn't have to only be one thing. Open up a notepad and write down the list of things you want to finish in that allocated set of time, because goal setting in itself makes it so you're more likely to achieve all those goals. If you go into that session head first without any idea what you're going to do, not only is that going to be a cause of distraction in yourself, it's going to take up a lot of time considering what you're going to do. Whereas if you sit down and know in your head what you're already going to do, it's so much easier for you to just get stuck in the task and focus. The mistake that people make is that they vaguely say, "Oh, I'm going to study," and they start flicking through their textbook, wasting hour after hour. You must create specific targets, and by doing this, it's like you're a guided missile, and you're absolutely going to decimate a specific area and nail that topic. To conclude, studying is made to seem like this 10 hours a day, wow, yay, so cool type of thing, but it's not. I promise if you learn how to utilize deep work, it will change your life, making it more fun, leaving time for other things, and also preventing you from feeling burned out and exhausted from studying. So make sure to do practical, focused study sessions of practice questions and distance yourself from any distractions. Lastly, be precise and set goals for yourself to make sure that you actually get things done in the session.